Hi, my name is Joe, and I'm in my first of year university. My best friend Nick was also in the same university as me. I was glad at least I wasn't alone. Anyways, this story happened about 1 month ago. It's still a fresh memory in my mind today, but I wanted to share it with the world because it is just too much to keep to myself. As I told, me and Nick were best friends who attended the same uni. Nick made friends quickly and became popular. He would hang out with many big boy groups and always had girls surrounding him. Whereas me, I didn't really get as much attention as Nick. I was the opposite of him. But he was still my best mate. We would hang out after school. He introduced me to his new friends, but I never really fit in with them. It was clear they only wanted to be friends with Nick. But it didn't bother me because I wanted to get my degree in law and become a lawyer. That was the goal, the aim. My dad, who passed 5 years ago, was a lawyer, and he was a damn great one too. He inspired me to pursue this career and help many people in the world. Anyways, there was this place that everyone in uni knew about. It was called The Barn, and it was a chill-out spot. It was huge and had a shed in the middle of a farm. Sometimes there would be animals, but recently the animals had disappeared, and it became empty and lonely. Some of the students would go there to chill because it was spacious and abandoned. Parties would be held there. Every week there was a party going on, but there were rumors that the parties that would go on were weird and strange. After every party, there was always a comment and a new conspiracy theory that bad things happen as soon as you enter the barn. Obviously, it was all for giggles, because the boys, including Nick, would always hype it up and remind me how amazing it was. I wasn't very outgoing or extroverted, so I would stay home whenever Nick would invite me to come out with him. But one day Nick came to me and attempted to bribe me with his puppy dog eyes. "What is it, Nick?" I said in annoyance. He proceeds to tell me how his biggest crush, Lola, would be attending the barn for a party on Friday. Okay. What does this have to do with me? I questioned. So, I was wondering if you could come with me and be my wingman. You can leave whenever you want. Ugh. He wanted to use me in front of Lola, so he could appear more high or interesting. He does this sometimes. He would compare me with himself, telling me I should be like him or that I need to step out of my comfort zone. But I was fine with how I was. I would brush those comments away as I knew they were jokes. I did not want to visit the barn at all. I don't know why, but I felt eerie and weird about it, so I told Nick to tell someone else as I won't be able to attend. He pleaded with me and bribed me with snacks and food, but it was just the barn I did not like. Sure, if the party was somewhere else, I would come. But there was something that always gave me a strange energy. I explained these to him, and he still pleaded and begged. He spammed my phone when I got home and would bug me about it for the longest time. Fine. I screamed in anger. I will go! I saw the excitement and shock in his face at my immediate reaction. He jumped and hugged me in joy. "You're the man. Love you, bro," he said as he walked away to his lecture. I sighed as I realized what I had just committed to. I heard a group of girls speaking in the corner. They were quiet yet loud, so I eavesdropped. They can't find her. She was at Lee's party and didn't return home after. Lee's party was held at the barn. Damn it. Knowing this, I felt even more on edge. I am not scared or creeped out by the barn. I just had a strange and unusual feeling whenever I would go near it, or even look at it. I couldn't figure out why, so I accepted it and moved on. I texted Nick and told him that I would be leaving after 1 hour max. He agreed, and we met that following Friday. Nick drove us there, and as he parked up, we could smell fire, loud music, bottles being thrown and cheering. Nick got all excited when he jumped out, splashing a big smile on his face. "Ready?" He turned and looked at me. 1 hour, Nick? I mean it. He said of course, and we made our way in the barn. This was the first time I've been inside. There was hay and grass everywhere. People were wearing very revealing stuff, almost naked, dancing around the fire pit. I saw red paint being thrown against the shed walls. It was crazy. It felt almost like a cult or something. I followed Nick to try and find Lola, but we couldn't find her, so we asked one of the people, and they said that she hadn't arrived yet. Great, I thought. Now we would have to wait. I heard glass shattering, and I quickly turned my head to see what it was. Someone had smashed a glass bottle and were engraving the words, "The Barn," into their skin. Blood was dripping, and everyone cheered as he did so. I took a step back. I felt sick. How can people allow this? Nick looked shocked too, looking at me disgusted. "She will be here any moment now, and we will leave straight after," he assured me. Honestly, there was only a few faces I recognized. Most people had red paint smothered on their face and clearly on some sort of drugs. It all looked like a hell scene. That strange and eerie feeling came back to me. It felt like danger, like these people were worshipping something, the way everything was laid out. I asked Nick who threw this party, and I was shocked to hear that he didn't know. What? How do you not know? I said in confusion. He failed to answer as his eyes lit up when Lola walked into the barn. He quickly winked at me and told me he would be back after 10 minutes. He just wanted to get her number and speak to her. He would call me over to them afterwards. I wished him luck, and off he went. Gosh, 10 minutes is a long time in a place like this, and I was not going to stand here alone. I had to find someone. I started walking around the shed, hoping to find someone I know. I walked around but noticed something. All these people were much older than us. I'm talking age 30 plus. Men had full-grown beards wearing animal heads and masks all covered in red paint and wore tank tops with shorts. Some were shirtless and the women wore bikinis, shorts, and miniature tops. Their bodies were covered in red paint and they all had bottles in their hands, screaming at the top of their lungs and throwing up hand signs. I quickly realized that this was not the party I am meant to be in. I hurried back to the front of the shed and saw Nick still talking to Lola. I was horrified what I saw back there. They genuinely were, either too drunk, on drugs, or straight up possessed. As the night continued, I stayed put. 10 minutes later, I was still standing here. No sign on Nick. In fact, he had disappeared, and I couldn't see him anymore. Damn Nick, I muttered. Reluctantly, I went to search for him. I wanted to go home, and he was our ride. I could not be here any longer. These people were crazy and definitely not from our uni. I refused to go to the back of the shed, so I went inside it instead. I saw a big star on the wall in red paint again, and two people wearing animal heads as a mask. They looked like real animal heads, I thought, before jumping back into reality. WTF is going on? I was creeped out by this, almost scared, but I heard Nick's voice coming from the other side, but I couldn't see him. I decided to walk quietly, not disturbing what those people were doing. As I walked towards Nick's voice, I couldn't help but wander my eyes. My eyes looked at what they were fiddling with. I could barely see, but once I saw enough to piece the puzzle, my heart sank. One man was cutting the head of a dead animal, a deer, while the other man was drawing blood from the animal's body and filling up tubs of it. There were deers, horses, cows, and more. I ran outside so fast, back to the entrance of the barn, past the busy crowd, and called Nick. I kept calling him until he picked up the third time. "What?" he shouted. I still hadn't processed what I had just seen and told him to meet me at the car now, or else I'm going without him. I had Nick's bag with his belongings, so he needed me to stay back, he said. Okay, and that he was coming in 5 minutes. I ended the call abruptly and sat on the pavement near the car waiting for him to arrive. As I recollected what I had just seen, my heart was racing, and I realized that the red paint was not paint, but animal blood smeared on the bodies of these people. This party had to be a satanic gathering or something like that, because what I saw, I wanted to go to church every day to make up for it. I felt like I had sinned being there, and I cursed Nick's name while shaking my head into hands. "Excuse me, sir." I heard the voice of a drunk girl. This girl looked so young. She was practically a child. I asked for her age, but she was drunk or drugged. "Oh God," I said to myself as I helped her up and sat her down next to me. She mumbled words and I could understand a few of them. Something along the lines of she got dragged into this party with her friendship group and that they had left her and ran away. She met some adults at the party and that they gave her something to take. After that, she couldn't remember the rest. My heart ached for this girl. How could people be so cruel, I thought to myself. I finally saw Nick, and he looked surprised when he saw the girl. Then his expression changed to worry when he saw how young she was. We put her in the car and drove her to the nearest police station. They took it from there and thanked us for dropping her. I don't know what happened to her after that, or at the barn where she was drugged. Only God knows what those nasty people did to her, but I pray for her health. Nick started going on all about how he got Lola's contact, and they were having the best conversation. I suddenly became angry and told Nick to shut up. He looked at me briefly. I sighed and told him everything that happened with a lump in my throat. It was painful to describe. He looked at me in horror when he realized that I was being serious. I knew the mask seemed too real, he stated in disappointment. He apologized for making me wait and promised that he would make it up to me. I asked him again, Nick, how did you find out about this party? He seemed hesitant to answer, but he did. He took a deep breath and told me how he overheard Lola speaking to her friend in class about a party that one of her brothers is throwing. When she mentioned the barn, he knew exactly where the location would be. She had only invited her friends, which were few as she wanted to keep it low-key. Nick and I had attended uninvited to a private party that a person was having. I wanted to punch him. How could he be so stupid? Lola's family must be a part of what I'd seen if that's the case. They must all be related back to her. I said this to Nick, and he told me not to overreact and that it all turned out well in the end. Yay for him. That night I went straight to bed and prayed. I felt wrong. Suddenly the conversation that I had eavesdropped in at uni played in my mind. We never found her. She didn't come home. What if the girl we took to the station was the missing person they were on about? No, it can't be. Ever since that day, I avoid going near the barn or ever stepping foot in there again.